Hi, everyone. This is John Pepe from the CMS support team, and I'd like to welcome you to CMS 4.1. This is the first in a series of 3 videos covering the Assistant Simplification Enhancement. In this video, I'll be covering the changes we made to the look and feel, or you might know it as the user interface. Our goal here was to streamline and to simplify the user interface and make it more intuitive and easy for you to find the information. I want to say one thing up front before I get into some of the changes that we've made. We've made no changes to the case intake, treasury, or conference administration functions. We've only made changes to what we now call the visit flow function. So let me share my screen with you and show you that I have a side-by-side comparison of our current system, which is release 4.0 on the left, and the new 4.1 system on the right. And if you just kind of just stand back and you compare the two visually, you can see that 4.1 is so much more cleaner looking than 4.0. And I'm going to talk through the changes that we made to achieve that cleanness. As I said at the beginning, we are now calling this entire process the visit flow process. We've called it at times the caseworker process. We called it at times the case flow process. We've now settled on a name. It is the visit flow process. So let's start at the top and look at the information and compare the two and where we made the changes. Start over here on the top line. You can see that you have your case number and you have your conference name here. You drop below the buttons and you have your client name. What we've done in 4.1 is we put it all together where you would expect to find it. You see that we have the conference name, the case number, and the client name all together right in front of you. So it's easy to spot. Okay, so now we'll drop into these buttons up on top. We call these the top line persistent buttons. And the reason why we call them persistent is because they're always in your face, all 9 of them as you go through the flow, tab by tab by tab. If you just count them, there are 9 of them in 4.0. We've reduced them to 6 in 4.1. And now I'll talk through some of the buttons. Where did the other 3 go? Well, the first thing I'll point out is that we've relabeled some of the buttons. The first one is the case option button. We just call it options. Pretty simple, pretty intuitive. And if you click it, that's where you find the red flag button and you find the programs button that used to be known as the Vincentian programs. So we renamed it. And the third one is the express button. Doesn't appear here because it appears usually later in the flow, in the visit flow. So that's where the other 3 buttons went. They're behind the options button. The button that we did change the behavior on is the close case button. Let me talk through how this currently works in the system in 4.0. So if this was a new client, you wouldn't see the close case button. You would see a cancel button. You only see the close case button when it's either an existing client or you have advanced past the client tab. That's when you see the close case button. What we've done in 4.1 is we've consolidated those 2 functions into one button. So now the system knows the difference between a new client and an existing client. If it's a new client and you click the cancel button, it will delete the case like it did before. If it's an existing client or you advance past the client tab, you could then click the cancel button and you'll be asked to put in the reason for closing the case without assistance. That is the only button up on top that we've changed the behavior. That's all the buttons. So now we'll drop down into the tabs and I'll discuss the changes that we've made here. Let's start at the beginning here in 4.0. You had the prepare tab. Well, what we've done now is we renamed the prepare tab to the pre-visit tab. we've eliminated and removed the visit tab completely and took the visit type and the visit date and put it inside the pre-visit tab. So that's where that information went. As far as your minutes and your miles that you were asked at the beginning of the visit flow process, which we felt and you felt, we got feedback from you that it's too early to ask that question because you really didn't know how much time and how far you're going to drive once you complete this case. So what we've done is we moved it to the very last step in the process in 4.1. And that's when you'll be asked and you'll be required to put in your minutes and your miles. Okay, now moving across the tabs, we've made absolutely no change to the client tab. We've made no change to the household tab. We've made no change to the situation tab. We've made some really great changes here on the assistance tab, but we will discuss those in the other two videos. I will say that we no longer have an attachment tab or a complete tab. We renamed the complete, which you know as the follow-up, we renamed it to follow-up. There is a follow-up tab and an attachment tab that are optional because not all conferences and not all cases require attachments and follow-up information. So why should you pass through those tabs? And you'll see that in the next video. We removed and deleted this check pledge tab. This has been a nuisance for a long time with a lot of our users, especially the new caseworkers, that you're required to advance to the check pledge tab in order to submit the check request. That is no longer true. This tab is gone and we've changed that whole requirement that I'll discuss in the next video. And that's about it. Those are the changes that we've made to the look and feel and the user interface from 4.0 to 4.1. I highly encourage you to watch the next two videos. They're also cover the assistant simplification enhancement, but from a different perspective. Thank you.